Pamela Hemphill, also known as MAGA Granny, rejected Trump's pardon from the January the 6th insurrection on the Capitol. She's going through the proper channels in Idaho to try to legally reject that pardon. So she talks to Katie Couric about that day on January the 6th, 2021. She says she wants to make amends and was brainwashed by Trump. So let's see what she has to say about this.
Pamela Hemphill is 71 years old and a retired drug and alcohol counselor who lives in Boise, Idaho. She pleaded guilty in January of 2022 to a misdemeanor offense for entering the Capitol during the riot and was sentenced to 60 days in prison and 3 years of probation. She was known in some quarters as the MAGA Granny. Now, today, she is saying she does not want a pardon, and Pamela's here to tell us why. Pamela, why did you go to Washington in the first place?
Well, I was scheduled for chemotherapy coming up in a few weeks. I've been in Boise, Idaho, videotaping all the events, all the Republican events that were going on here. I've been doing it for a couple of years, and it just would be a fun thing to go do. So I thought when my brother offered me chance to go, I thought, why not? It'd be great. I could videotape what's going on there that day.
And then did you enter the Capitol, and were you a part of
the question that I want to know is she can videotape of what was going on. What was going on? How far did you really know they was going to go with this? As in, did you know they was going to breach the Capitol? Did she know they was going to go past the security guards or the officers? Did she know they was going to take matters into their own hand and actually hurt a good bit of them officers? I'm curious to know.
The group that broke into the building, or what was your experience with that?
Well, first, they started pushing on the barriers, and the officers were not doing anything to them. Now, I'm not on that violent side. I'm not minimizing my side. You know how you're wanting to get into a football game real quick, and they're going to let you in? I thought that's what they were doing, because William Dunphy said that the officers, they were negotiating. They were going to let them get up to the steps. And then I walked over to a female officer because I thought, they're not coming in. What's going on? She says, we're not letting them in. Now I knew I was in trouble. They were trying to push their way through. And so I ran to the captain and I told the captain, I'm scared. I have stitches. He said, go up to the front. I'll call them and tell them to put you behind them. Well, when I got up to the steps, they pushed me down, stepped on breathing, and it was 2 Capitol police officers that pulled me up and put me behind them. If they hadn't done that, I would have died. They saved my life that day. I went behind the officers, sat down on the other side, and an officer came to me and said, are you okay? And I said, no, I got to get out of here. This crowd, they almost tried to kill me on the steps, so he helped me get out.
As you know, President Trump issued an executive order that either pardoned or commuted the sentences of almost every January.
She looks terrified by that, but I'm quite sure she knew when he said he was going to pardon them, he actually meant it. And there's nothing funny about this, don't get me wrong, but he actually meant it. I'm quite sure she's getting death threats. I'm quite sure she can't even sleep at night.
6 participant, and you decided to reject that pardon. Why?
Well, first, it would be a slap in the face to the Capitol police officers, to the rule of law, and to our nation. You'd be a part of their narrative that the DOJ was weaponized against them, all the lies they've put out. They're trying to rewrite history. And I don't want to be a part of rewriting history.
Ma'am, I hate to say it, but you already are a part of history. This will go down in the history books, and you will be a part of it, and you will be not known as Miss Hemphill. You will be known as MAGA Granny. That's why we should think before we act. We should think before we act, and we should know that we will deal with the consequences from our actions.
History with them. I broke the law, so I should complete my sentence. It's that simple.
That's a very unusual point of view. Have you talked to anybody else who was involved in the January 6th riot who feels the same way you do?
Oh, no, in fact, they won't talk to me because for a year and a half, I've been debunking them. So no, I have a big smear campaign out there. No, there's nobody that I've heard of. I wish somebody could take accountability and stand with me, but no, I haven't heard from anybody.
What did you think in general of the executive order?
Oh, well, you know, it's Trump's message that the DOJ is weaponized against him. And so he's using the J6 defendants to keep that message going. It's delusional that we know he's a criminal. Jack Smith just showed that in his report. But he has to keep that going. He has to keep that message going. Now he's got his own militia. And I'm afraid now for people that might go out there and peacefully protest. They may go out there and create more violence.
Well, I think everyone is concerned on that front, especially you. Wow, this is crazy. I'm just gonna leave my last sentiments on what I think. I think it's a slap in the face to democracy. I think the sentences that was given to the 600 plus that was at the Capitol was a slap on the wrist. I think the world laughs at the United States. I think the Proud Boys will strike again if Trump don't get his way. And I actually think it is a joke. For anyone who's still trying to figure out Trump, you can check it out in a video from his niece up here, there, from Mary Trump, his niece, who is a clinical psychologist and been knowing her every day of her life. I think it's a shame that we have to have in the back of our minds what this man is going to do next. What is he even thinking about? But that's the times that we're living in. That's going to be all for this video. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.